Disclaimer. All views expressed on What Makes Us Fire are solely those of the person or persons giving them. What Makes Us Fire does not represent or claim to represent any particular city or fire department, and therefore make the claim that all views and standpoints are affiliated with What Makes Us Fire and with What Makes Us Fire only. Any mention of certain fire departments or cities within the interviews are solely for informational and opinion-based dialogue. In short, if you have a problem with what's published, just say something about it and don't be a Richard.
What's up, What Makes Us Fire Family? Thank you for joining us on the show today. Today we have a very special guest, Freddy. Simple as that. You guys like cooking? You guys like firefighters? You guys like talking about mental health, getting another perspective? Then you're going to like today's show. Brendt, better known as the Fireman Freddy, came on to the show to share his point of view on the job, how he got into it, his outlook on how he deals with the family life aspect of being in the fire service. And then we get into a little bit of what he's created, the avenue he took on his social media platform that is helping people in a way he never thought he'd be able to do. You guys, this story and what he has to share is pretty fucking cool. So, I'm gonna leave it short. What Makes Us Fire Family, please help me welcome Mr. Brendt, the Fireman Freddy.
Now, so I don't even care if it's muffled at all.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can hear you just fine.
All right. And it didn't change or anything right there, did it?
No.
Okay.
Maybe, can you twist the mic again like you did last time?
Yeah, let me see here. Where's the... How about right there?
That is way better.
Yep, okay.
So, Brent, real quick, I'm usually the one with all the technical difficulties. So it was nice that one of my guests actually had it. Yeah, me too. Me too. Well, you know what? You're probably better at cooking than I am, so there's that.
We each have our strengths, right?
Mm-hmm. Very, very true, sir. How you been, man?
I've been good. Good.
You been,
took my promotional test yesterday. That was stressful as all get out. I'm glad to be done with that. I don't know how I did, but I was really, I don't know. I think I'm ready to be a lieutenant, but there was definitely some questions on there that I was like, I don't know this answer.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I mean, there's probably a good half of the questions I was like, got it, know that one. And then there were some that I looked at it and I'm like, that wasn't even in the book.
Yeah, those are the ones you challenge. You guys are civil service, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you challenge. That's the one you challenge at the Civil Service Board. Because you know they have to have a board if you challenge a question. Those are the ones you challenge, the ones that aren't in the book.
Yeah.
And then hopefully your grade goes up.
Well, it says they're in the book. I tell you what, the amount of material that I think I'm actually able to consume and digest is probably not as much as I need to be, but that is what it is.
If they were recipes, I guaranteed you probably remember them very well.
I think I'd have cooked a 10-course meal for sure.
Hell yeah. Just to let you know, you could already see it. I did start recording, so all of that is going on to the podcast because I want people to know how. Yep, I want people to know how you felt during your lieutenant's exam. I just took mine a couple days ago. However, I didn't study very, very little, not compared to how hard I studied for the equipment operator. Still made 69 on it.
Nice.
I knew I wasn't gonna pass, but you always take the test just so you know how it goes, right?
Well, this is my first promotional test that I've ever taken on my department. I've been there 10 years, so this is the first time. So first time I've seen a test like this.
Oh, so they were not civil service beforehand.
No, they were, but I've only been on for 10 years, and
Right,
we
but
have.
you're a driver now, aren't you?
I drive part of the time. Yep. We don't have an engine operator's position. So to say.
Oh, okay. That's what was throwing me off. Okay, I got
I
you.
got
I
you.
got
Yeah.
you.
So for
Well,
our lieutenant, you have to hold the rank of sergeant or have 10 years on to test
10 years.
on the department. Period.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, good luck to you, man. I hope you make it. I don't know how many positions are available.
two in the next 2 years. So I just got to beat one guy.
Oh,
There's
okay.
four of us that took the test. One guy is retiring. So I don't know why he took the test, but he was eligible. So he's like, hey man, I'm eligible. Why not take it?
Yeah,
We're like,
well,
hey, get
that
after it.
it might lengthen his retirement time because a little bit of bump in pay just for a few more years can definitely make a difference.
It's definitely convincing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Um, so we have started a whole conversation. Usually I like to say, hey, Brent, thank you for coming on to What Makes Us Fire. I appreciate having you on, brother. Thank you for taking the time. Man, what a pain in the ass it was to try to find the schedule that worked for both of us. I literally, just not even an hour ago, got home from a hunting trip. You're just busy all the time. So
Yeah, two kids doing virtual school, 100% at home, working at the fire department and trying to balance a side gig at the same time, all while negotiating a contract is it proves to be difficult to find 10 minutes to do anything.
no shit. I literally have found that doing this podcast and then the What Makes Us Fire family, the way it's growing, I had an idea. I shared it with some of what we call the What Makes Us Fire OGs, the people that started following What Makes Us Fire back when we only had like 300 followers.
I might be in there. I might be one
Yeah,
of them.
you actually are. You and Nick both. Nick
Yeah.
actually helped grow the What Makes Us Fire family quite a bit. He's actually. I like to. Speaking of which, I like to tell everybody how I met you and how we actually came in contact.
For sure.
You're another firefighter in a different part of the country. You can tell us the area. I recommend not telling us the department because this is a worldwide published show. So whatever you say can come back to haunt you. So don't say the department you work for, but like give us a state or a general area.
Yeah, I mean, I realize you're like Pitbull. You are worldwide.
Yeah.
So, I work in Michigan and more specifically Southeast Michigan around the Detroit area.
Hence the
My,
big Detroit sign on your hat.
yeah, I will
I
always represent Detroit. I will always represent Detroit because Detroit is awesome. It gets a real bad name from people who probably have never been here or who have maybe been here when it wasn't the best, but Detroit's coming back and I
I
got
think
nothing but good
so.
things to
Well,
say.
I think after the whole car boom died down, Detroit started taking a pretty hard nosedive economically, and all firefighters and first responders know economics plays a huge role on how the community relates to everyone.
Oh,
So when
100%.
economics are low, your crime rates higher, your bad actors are more apt to act bad. So, that's just it. But you are right. Detroit is on the upswing, which is really cool because my wife's family is from Detroit area. We're actually going to go visit the Detroit area here soon, pretty soon actually. So if I'm in the area, I'm going to hit you up and then
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to ask you to make me and my family some dinner.
I just got a Blackstone for my birthday and I love cooking on it. So Josh, you're gonna get some smash burgers.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. So I am going to tell my wife we're going to Michigan very soon. She could be like, "Oh, you want to meet my family that much?" No, I want Brent Smashburger. So I like to tell the What Makes Us Fire family how I met my guest. You guys kind of heard it a little bit. I met Brent here, better known as the underscore fireman underscore Freddy on TikTok. I met him actually not through TikTok. I didn't meet him through TikTok. He's not somebody that came up on my FYP. He is actually somebody that I was introduced by somebody that was on the show earlier. You guys all know him, Mr. Nick Hammond, Fireman 1231. He was on the show a few weeks back, and afterwards he was like, "Hey, you really should talk to this guy. You should talk to this guy, Brent. He's awesome. He's actually one of the reasons why I keep going with what I'm doing. He's a big inspiration. He's my homeboy, this and that." He was talking you up. Basically, he was kissing your ass without even you knowing he was kissing your ass. And I was like, "All right, yeah, sure." And so that's when he contacted you about this. And then you actually messaged me, "Hey, this is Brent, blah, blah, blah. Let's work something out." I'd be, "Hey, that'd be awesome. Let's get you on the show. Hell yeah." And then it took over a month for this to finally happen.
Right. Life happens, right?
Like, if you guys don't know how chaotic a firefighter schedule is on top of their life, and then the second and or third job that they're working, because firefighters get paid not enough, in my opinion. I got to make sure I say that. It's in my opinion. I don't think they get paid enough. All firefighters, not just me. All firefighters do not get paid enough. So we have to have a second, third job. I digress. Between all that, trying to find time to record a podcast with some Joe Schmo you don't really know, you kind of put that on the back burner. Am I right?
I mean, I don't want to call you a Joe Schmo because I think let's be serious here, Josh. You're doing awesome things, and I'm proud to be able to know you, to call you a brother in the fire service, and to be able to spend this time, albeit maybe a short amount of time right here, but that we can connect and we can talk, because what you're building, I think, is unknown to you, and it's unknown to a lot of people, of what is actually going to come from the What Makes Us Fire family. I think it's a sleeping giant that is starting to toss and turn a little bit. And when this blows up, dude, I just want to say I want you to know that that I'm honored to be able to be a part of it. I mean, you and I have talked. You know, if there's anything you need, that you reach out. So, I wish.
All right, stop. You're going to make me cry. Stop.
I wish it wouldn't have taken us a month. I'll tell you that much. But, you know, like you said, stuff happens, and people will say, "Oh, but you work 2 shifts a week. You've got 5 days off. How come you couldn't make it happen whenever you want?" Well, I mean, me personally, I have 2 kids, 9 and 5. You know, there's a pandemic going on, and people are being extra careful. So we're doing virtual school 8 to 3:30 every single day, and I want to make sure that my kids get the best education. So I'm not just turning on a computer and saying, "Have at it." I'm actually
right. You're actually being involved.
I might be a little bit too much of a helicopter dad, because I've had a couple of his teachers so far say, "Hey, your dad doesn't need to be in the background of our Zoom meeting."
You're that dad. Oh man, you're that.
So now
parent.
I just hide behind the backdrop that I hung in our basement, and I monitor.
Oh my God! You send your kids to the basement to learn. If people had no idea what,
I built them some desks.
Oh my God! This pandemic,
so that they have their own area.
Don't get me started on my idea of the pandemic. Is it real? Yes, absolutely. The virus is real. Has it hurt a lot of people? Yes, and I feel for them. However, hate, I hate with a passion living in fear. I fucking hate it.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
So, I mean, to each their own, to everybody's idea on how it should be run. I respect it wholeheartedly. However, mine is I just hate living in fear. So I do my best while obeying the law. I do my best in not living in fear. So that's all. That's as far as we're going to go on that topic, by the way. We are
Amen.
not going any more than that.
Amen.
So, brother, we've actually had a really good conversation so far, and usually I like letting the What Makes Us Fire family, the audience, know where you came from. Where would you grow up? Where did the mind of Brent come from? And do you want me to call? Hold on. Do you want me to call you Brent, or do you want me to call you Freddy? I'll call you the Fireman Freddy. No, I won't. I'm going to call you Brent. But do you want me to call you anything else? I know you as Brent.
So let's just a real quick like cliff notes of why I go by Freddy when I'm on the job.
Well, it's your last name.
It is my last name, and consequently, there is a captain on my fire department that has the last name of a German last name of Brandt. So when my wife would call when I first got hired on, and would call the station and say, "Hey, is Brent available?" The captain would get handed the phone, and he'd say, "Hello," and she'd be like, "No, I mean, can I talk to Freddy, or can I talk to Brent Frederick?" And it was him to be like, "All right, we got to come up with something else here because you going by your first name is not working." So,
right. Well, so for everybody
Freddy
that doesn't know,
natural.
Yes. So for everybody that doesn't know, the fire department works very, very, very similar to a high school sports team or any sports team for that matter, in that we refer, or military, we refer to everybody by their last name. Very rarely is somebody known by their first name. And usually that's because the person before that person that gets called by their first name has the same last name. So say I came in and somebody already else had my last name, highly doubtful, I would be called Josh, but they don't call me Josh. They call me Kihas because that's my last name, or they call me Q because nobody knows how to pronounce it. But so that's kind of how it works in the fire department. So when his wife called, she would ask for him by his first name. His first name happens to be very similar to his captain's last name, hence Freddy.
So and I actually, on the job, when we run on calls, run on patients, they will, a lot of patients will say, "Oh, and what's your name?" My partner will say, "Oh, my name's, Jim," or whatever, and I'll say, "Oh, my name's Fred," and it's easier because if somebody calls up to the department and asks for Brent, people are not gonna. There's people who use my first name, and guys around the fire department are like, "Holy crap, I forgot that you had a first name and that you weren't Fred." There's guys on there that have called me Fred for 10 years and forget that my legal name is not Fred.
No, your last name isn't even Freddy, and we won't say it if you don't want to. Your last name isn't actually Freddy; it's Frederick. Dude, I feel for you.
It's evolved, and it is what it is. And it's funny because now my wife calls me Freddy pretty much all the time. It's almost like a term of endearment, on the fire department. It is what it is. I answer to Freddy, Alfredo.
You don't want to hear the names they call me. Queefus, Queegis.
It's the fire department, so I can only imagine.
No, yeah. Did you hear the first one? Queefus?
Oh, yeah.
Queefus? Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
So
yeah, we
Freddy's
met through
fine, whatever.
Freddy. All right, cool. So where do you come from? That was a good side note, good cliff note. Where do you come from? Where does the mind of Brent Frederick, aka Freddy, come from? Where did you grow up, brother? Give us the scoop.
So I come from humble beginning. No, I'm joking.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an extremely long podcast. Please stand by, and I hope you enjoy.
As you can tell, I'm very short-winded. So, no, I mean, I'm born and raised in Michigan, Southeast Michigan. At an early age, super into sports, real athletic. Age of 14, I started lifeguarding at a local pool and really kind of fell in love with the whole public service, life-saving type
First
aspect of
responder
it.
type lifestyle.
Yeah, taught swim lessons, started teaching lifeguards. I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan to go to college at Western Michigan University.
That's a real place.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's a real place, but just Kalamazoo just sounds so.
It sounds
weird.
Honestly,
it sounds
it's a great
fake.
town.
Sounds like a city in a Dr. Seuss book, is what it sounds like.
It does. It does. I'm surprised he didn't write about it.
No shit. That would have been perfect.
So I went to Western for 5 years. Didn't really find a niche out there that I really fell into.
Where'd you go there for? What'd you study? Was it just general studies or?
So I started with a business, in the business college to start. Didn't like it at all. Switched over to elementary education. Liked that a little bit more.
I can tell with the way you're standing behind your kids 24/7 when they're in school.
Flipped that over to a physical education with a teacher coach emphasis. Still wasn't feeling it. Had a real serious sit down with my parents and said, "Hey, this isn't what I want to do. I'm not happy." My dad said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, I want to go to paramedic school. So went and got my basic. Yeah. Well, it had always been in the back of my mind, working as a lifeguard and stuff like that, working with firefighters when they showed up to the pool if there was ever an incident.
Gotcha.
So got my basic, got hired onto an ambulance, private ambulance company. Fell in love with it.
You fell in love with the private ambulance company?
Yeah, run and rescue in the city of Battle Creek.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a contract like 911 service. It wasn't
100%.
Okay, so it wasn't like the private ambulance company that just does transfers.
No.
Okay,
no
so that's way different. That's way
Oh,
different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like way different.
My partner on the truck happened to be one of the proctors in my paramedic school. So I had the benefit of going to paramedic school, and then on the days that I worked, still being in paramedic school. So I learned a lot from him. I don't know if he listens, but Mike Betley out of Battle Creek, Michigan, if you ever listen, you did a lot for me, man.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, got my paramedic, worked out there for a couple of years. 2008, moved back over to the east side of the state with my now wife, but with Emily, and went to the fire academy in Macomb County.
Okay.
Graduated after 10 weeks. And then, so back in 2008, when I graduated the fire academy, we were told, expect it to be 2 years before you get hired onto a department.
Actually, they kind of told us, but they didn't say those exact words, but they said, finding a job in the fire department is actually fairly difficult. It is
significantly more candidates than open positions.
Always.
And most of the time when I was applying and taking tests, I was there with 80, 90, 100 people taking tests. And
for one position.
Finally caught a break, got hired after 2 years. I got hired in September of 2010 onto the department that I'm on right now, and I've been there ever since. But I tell you what, it's crazy. We can't find a candidate now that doesn't have some major skeletons. We've got an open spot we've had open for 6 months, and we can't find a candidate. It's crazy. how different it is now versus back then. You've got 50 people looking for one spot, and now you've got 50 departments looking for one guy. It's wild to me.
So, but that's actually becoming a very, very commonplace theme for career fire departments, especially career fire departments that that have absolved the EMS side of the fire service as well. I'm not going to ask you where you work, but do you guys actually handle the medical response as well? Like your ambulances are part of the fire department?
We run 2 ambulances that transport. Yep.
Okay. So when you have that, when a career department has that, depending on what the department's willing to do for the candidate. Now the department can be like, all right, come on, green, like total green. We'll send you to school for your fire and your paramedic. And then when you're done, you have to give us at least 2 years. And then cool. If you stay, you stay. If you don't, you don't. At least we got the 2 years out of you. You got paid school and everything. But a lot of career departments are realizing, fuck, that's really expensive to send somebody to school. Totally green, no certifications whatsoever. Send somebody to school for both paramedic and firefighter. And then while they're in school, not only did you pay for their school, you got to pay their wage because they are hired, right? They are candidates, they're hired. Right. So the city is paying insurance for them because they're a city employee. So they cost a lot of money. It's not just send them to school when they come out, cool, we'll hire them on. No, you have to be hired on to get all that stuff. So some cities are doing that. Those are big cities that have a lot of money to spend. Other cities are saying, hey, if you have your fire, cool, take the test, we'll send you to paramedic school. Cities are learning rather quickly that to pass your national registry for your paramedic is pretty fucking hard. And sometimes it takes a couple of tries. So now you have somebody that is firefighter certified. Cool. You don't have to pay for that, but you're still paying for paramedic school. And then you're hoping that they're going to pass the national registry, which for everybody that doesn't know is a national licensing credit body. Yeah. That basically you have to be a working paramedic anywhere in the nation. You have to have your national registry to begin with. Actually, as a paramedic, no. To begin with, you have to have your national registry, and then, depending on state, I don't know how it is for Michigan, but depending on the state will dictate whether or not they will give you those certification hours, or if you need to keep up your national registry or not. Some states are like, you know what, national registry is good, just keep up with that and we'll consider you good. Other states are like here in Texas, we have the Texas Department of State Health Services. They have their own qualification certification levels modeled very similar to the national registry. However, you can let your national registry drop, but you have to keep the Texas Department of State Health certification. And so it depends on state. Some states are just like, no, national registry only. Texas is like, hey, we understand national registry's hard. Here's the ones we want you to keep up with. You keep up with these, your certification is good for the state. But if you ever move out of the state and you want to work anywhere else, good fucking luck, because you are going to have to go through school all over again to get your national registry. Yeah. Anyway, back to my point. Some cities or departments are saying, hey, cool, we'll send you paramedic school. Hopefully you pass, give us the 2 years, and then hopefully you stay. Well, that's hard because passing paramedic is extremely difficult. It's not easy. It is not easy. You have to apply yourself 110% or have a passion for it. It's difficult. I mean, you're learning basically to be a minor surgeon / doctor out in the field without the credits. Literally.
Right.
You are giving medicines that nurses can't even give without a doctor's approval. We're doing it in the field with not having a call. No, let me rephrase that.
Judgments.
Yeah, we're making snap judgments just like a doctor would in an ER, right? Granted, there are protocols and there is a medical director, i.e. a doctor that has signed his license, said, this is what I want you guys to do in certain situations, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to get into all
And I
that.
trust
Anyway,
you. I trust that you're making the good decisions.
right. And I trust that the department hired competent people. That doctor's putting a lot of trust into the fire department and city. Just saying.
For sure.
So any medical directors out there that are listening, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for putting your trust into the departments and the cities hiring competent people to do the job correctly. So there's that. But again, cities don't like to spend the money. It's hard. So what do cities do? What do cities do? What do departments do? You better have both certifications before you come test. You better have your paramedic and firefighter.
Yeah, we want you to do it all on your own and then come in here and we'll decide whether or not you're the best of a list of 10. And unfortunately, we're finding out that list of 10 isn't a list of 10 anymore. The list of 10 is one candidate looking at 10 departments, and he's able to choose which department he wants to go to, which is completely flipped from, like I said, 10 years ago when you had 10 people looking at one opening.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely flipped. Fire departments, I think, kind of did that to themselves, really, especially when they started absolving the EMS part of the job. It used to be where the city had a separate public health service and the EMS side was just that. They were just paramedics and there was public health service. There was nothing else tied to it, right? But nowadays, a lot of fire departments absorbed. I say absolved. Why do I keep saying absolved? Why didn't you correct me? Absolved means get rid of.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, absorb. Absorb is what.
I thought.
God, this whole time I have sounded like an idiot, Brent. This whole time I sound like an idiot.
Oh,
you haven't corrected me. Absorb the EMS department.
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's departments around here who are getting rid of their ambulances and transporting and switching to like a kind of like an echo response unit where it's got two guys, maybe a monitor and a jump bag. They'll respond to the medical and wait for a private ambulance to show up. And
wow,
I don't know. Each city is going to make decisions based on their needs and their budget constraints. However, I am proud that I work in a community that we want to transport our own. We want our citizens to know that when you call 911, your fire department's going to come with an engine and an ambulance and at least 4 guys, and we're going to take care of you, and we're going to transport you.
Right. But we're not passing you off
I'm
to
proud
anybody.
Of that.
And I'm proud of it too. I'm proud of the department that I'm with, and especially the fact that we absorbed the EMS part of the job. Because firefighters are first responders, right? When there's a car wreck, we show up. Well, when EMS is not part of that fire department, we can be waiting an extra 10 minutes before any actual, life-saving treatment can be made. Sure, we can do the basic CPR, stuff like that, but like starting IVs, giving drugs while you're being extricated from that car is huge. It's huge. And the fact that the city decided that having that EMS part of the first responder fire department part of it is big in that it helps save the community in a lot more ways than people realize.
The thing that I really like about it too is it really helps you in the fact that you can decide whether you want to stay and play or load and go, because you have that option of, okay, how critical is my patient? Do I need to rip them from the car, throw them into the ambulance, and think of life before limbs and get them to the hospital immediately? Or can we stay and play? Can we secure, can we stabilize that leg fracture? Or can we take an extra 5 or 10 minutes to extricate them from the car and, put them on a spinal or spinally immobilize them on a backboard and put a cervical collar on and stuff like that. So if you're just an engine responding, I feel like you don't have the option of a load and go situation where you might have a critical patient because you don't know when that ambulance
You
is
don't
gonna
have
show
the
up.
go. You don't have the
Yeah.
go. You don't. We can't throw them in the back of the damn fire truck. Can't throw them on the hose bed.
No.
So we don't have the go. So we're stuck when you don't have that as a part of your response team in what we do, and that
Absolutely.
sucks. Anyway, we literally just went into a rabbit hole there. I was trying to figure out where you came from, and here we are talking about like everything else under the sun. But it's good information, and I love that I said this from the beginning. I love going down rabbit holes that actually share good information, and we're not talking in circles. I hate rabbit holes where you just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
I like that our conversation is organic too. It's not forced. We're able to sit and we're able to talk, and it's it's informational, it's informative. Those are probably the same word, but
they're exactly the same word.
They're both big though, so they sound good.
Yeah, they do sound good. You sound smarter. Sorry. Anyway, so
well, there goes that.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to you, Mr. Freddy. We're gonna get back to you. So you kind of had an idea at the age of 14 that this was a realm that you wanted to go into. However, your path in life took you into different realms until you finally realized, holy shit, why didn't I go back to what I loved what I did when I was a kid? When you started going through that process, I like to ask this question a lot. When you started going through that process, at any point in time, did you think to yourself, oh, this might be a little bit more than what I thought it was going to be?
This is going to be so cliche, but no, I constantly wanted more. I wanted more of it. When I got done with my 10-week fire academy, for instance, I had a good week or two after that I experienced this huge letdown of emotion because I just spent 10 weeks of 5 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. with 33 guys, and now I don't see them. So it was like this huge emotional letdown of these bonds that we had built and these friendships that we had created, and now you're not there. You're not doing any of that again. Which, talking about this right now, it almost gives you a little bit of a glimpse into the mind of somebody who might be on the back end of their career, who is approaching retirement and who's been on the job for 29 years, and they have these guys that they've worked with for so long, and I believe that guys hang on because they're scared of that next step, if you will.
Well, yeah, because the next step feels like you're stepping into nothing. You're almost stepping into where you had this career, where you had this purpose, you had this brotherhood and sisterhood of people that were just, they became your family, and now you're stepping away from that. And what do you do with that? You're literally stepping away from family that on a day-to-day basis at work, your life depended on them, and there's yours. And now when you retire, it's gone. What do you do with that? How do you process that? I do not look forward to the day I retire, by the way, because of that.
Not at all. Not at all. That's not, it's funny because I don't know if you guys ever have the conversation around the fire station, but you see the lotto gets up to like $300 million or something like that. Guys are like, man, if I won, I would leave and I'd buy a huge house and I'd never work again. And it's funny because I don't think that that's what I would do. I think I'd still work.
Yeah, I'm
mean,
the same way. I said the same thing. Like, I don't think I can leave. I don't even if I had that much money, right? I don't really honestly think I can leave, because when I got into the job, I remember in the fire academy, everybody was asked to stand up and then say why they were in the fire academy. And my answer was simply put, I believe this is what I was meant to do. That was it. That was it. No story, no nothing else. Just, I believe this is what I was meant to do. And I still believe
I
that
like
to
that.
this day. To this day, I truly believe this is a job that I was meant to do. If it wasn't for this job, What Makes Us Fire would have never happened. If it wasn't for this job, who knows where I'd be in life, really. So I cannot back away from it. Even with all the money in the world, I would still have to be like a volunteer or something, just involved
Mhm.
in this realm, the fire
For sure.
service.
So with that being said, maybe I'm gonna flip the script on you here, but with that being said, and I'll answer it too, would you have changed any way that you would have gone about getting into the fire service? The route
Well,
that you took, would you have changed it?
I would have liked to have known that this was what I was meant to do a lot sooner. I don't know if you heard my first podcast. I kind of give the story as to how I became a firefighter. So,
Mm-hmm.
right out of high school, I was a model. I wanted to be an actor. I used to ballroom dance. My main goal was to be an actor. That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. It didn't work out for me. I came back home. My parents said, "Hey, either go to work or go to school." So I was like, "I'll go to school." On the drive to the school, I had my girlfriend at the time reading all the certifications out of literally the community college's book. She was just reading them off. I said, "I'll stop you when I hear one that's interesting." And she said,
Mm-hmm.
"Firefighter." And I was like, "That's interesting. I'll try that." First day of class, first day of EMT class, first day, I opened the book, hooked, hooked. I knew that this was something that I was supposed to be involved in.
Isn't that an awesome feeling that when there's something that is this fulfilling of a career, that when you realize that it's what you were meant to do, there's just that feeling inside of you that it's it's indescribable, but it's a feeling that is just, all right, I'm here. This is it. This is what I'm doing. And this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Even if it means waking up 5 times after midnight, and being tired the next day. It does it that's the
Even
way
for
it
the
is.
stub toe at 3 o'clock in the morning that they stubbed 8 hours ago. Yeah.
And we're gonna complain about it, and we're gonna complain about it on the way to the call, and
Yep.
we might complain about it after. But
Yep.
but to be 100% honest with you, that feeling is awesome. And just to answer the question myself, I go back and forth because I'm 38 years old and I have 10 years in. I got hired on when I was 28.
Whoa, you're a late starter.
If I say all the time that if I had the chance to, right out of high school, go to the fire academy and get hired on, like, let's say 21 after, you get your paramedic and everything like that, just to think where I would be right now with that. But you have to take into account that when I moved to the west side of the state, I met my wife. I met the love of my life, and had I not done that, I would not be where I am today, and I love where I'm at today. So
Isn't it crazy how life just happens in the right way sometimes?
it
You
does.
had you thought you had control, but then when you look back on it, you're like, okay, I may have had a little bit of control, but had something else happened, where else would I be?
Right.
And it's,
There's
you know
a
what? I don't want to know where else I'd be because I love where I'm at now.
there's a crazy quote, and I'm pretty sure that I'll mess it up, but it's just when you think you have your plan already, God laughs and shows you the correct way. I'm probably
Hey,
paraphrasing that, but
yeah, and you know, depending on your belief system, obviously, with that quote, but yes, it's very true. Just when you thought you had complete control over how and what you were supposed to do and what you want to do in life, something happens that puts you in a direction that completely changes your outlook. It completely changes your outlook. It
yeah,
does. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It completely changes your outlook on how your life turned out or how it's turning out. And you wouldn't change it for the world. You wouldn't change it.
no,
You wouldn't change it.
not a minute, not a
Not
minute.
a minute. Not no way. Did we're gonna get a little. I'm gonna start asking you a little bit of questions here. We go off into these tangents and rambles, and they're awesome because they have good information, and we're bullshitting and having good conversation, and I love it. And I would love to continue doing that, but we'll do that on another podcast because I want people to get to know you a little bit more and who you are. We're gonna get into how you started your social media footprint and what got you into all that as well. But what I want to talk about is something that's near and dear to my heart, especially as of late, is basically kind of how you feel about the job. How do you cope with the job? How does your family cope with the job? So, was there any point in time you've been a firefighter for 10 years and you actually got a pretty late start considering have you found in this 10 years, and I know I already asked you about, did you think maybe it would be too much? Obviously not, but has there been any point in time where you thought, holy crap, I wasn't prepared for this? I can
I
hear the
think.
background piano music.
Sorry, hold on a sec. That would be
No,
my
it's okay.
daughter playing the ukulele.
Oh, okay.
I think that question is multifaceted,
Okay.
and I think I can answer it as different stages of my life have happened on whether or not I am prepared for the job that I am in.
Mm-hmm.
So right out the bat, my wife and I were married, and we had no kids, and it was just her and I. So if an overtime shift came in, take the overtime shift. There's no reason to be anywhere. We had our son, 8 months after I got hired on. So then, I don't know if I'm in my mind. I don't know if I'm prepared for this because now I'm up all night with the baby, and then I go to work and I'm up all night running calls. And it's in your mind, you're like, well, I guess I'm never going to sleep again. It's just the way it's going to be. And you get through that stage, and then you have the times where you're leaving in the morning and your kid or your kids, they're crying, holding onto your leg. I don't want you to go, Daddy, stay home with me. And you ask yourself, am I ready for the? Am I okay leaving my kids at home when they're crying? And like everything, it's a stage, and the kids, kids are a lot more resilient than I think they get credit for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kids are more
They
resilient than we give them credit for.
they learn, they adapt, they overcome, and in this profession, you learn that quite literally days are just days. Holidays are just days. Birthdays are just days. Shift days, it's just another day. So we've celebrated, as you're growing up, your kids are getting older. We've celebrated Christmas on December 27th because Daddy has to work. Or, we celebrate a birthday on a Saturday instead of a Wednesday because Daddy had to work. And the kids don't hold it against you. The kids learn that, all right, Daddy's on shift. he'll be back tomorrow, and Christmas will be tomorrow. Even though the TV says that Christmas is today, Christmas will be tomorrow. And I think as you move through those different stages in your life, you ask yourself, is this all worth it? Is this something that I want to do? And every single time I've been through that stage, it's always been yes. It's always been that my family comes first, and the job follows on behind it, because when I'm not taking care of my family, I'm taking care of the citizens that are counting on me to be there. So it's hard to give 100% of yourself when you need to give 100% of yourself in two different directions.
So it sounds like a lot of your questioning on whether or not this is something you were prepared for, you involved your family. And that's actually a part that hasn't been brought up a lot in my discussions. Usually when I ask that question, a lot of people take it to the type of things they see on the job, to the idea of seeing, horrible fucking shit that we see all the time. Usually that's where people take it. You're actually one of the first thing that came to your mind was, is it worth it because of my family? Which is actually a part, it's a huge part. It's a huge part, because I actually went through that too. Financially, especially financially, is this job worth me staying in while my family and I are struggling financially? Yes. I'm going to make the decision. Yes, it is. I'll work more overtime. I'll get a second job. I'll work a third job, whatever I need to do, but I'm going to stay in this profession. Is it worth my kids being upset that I'm not at home for dinner a lot of the time? Well, like you said, they're resilient. They understand now. They've grown up. It's normal now. It's normal. It's not abnormal anymore. It's just dad's a firefighter, and that's what happens. The fact that you took it with the family route tells me that you actually thought about this even more so on a deeper level, and you weren't actually really considering yourself in that whole aspect of the question. You're considering the people that are closest to you, your family, your kids, your wife. And that's huge. That's huge. And it says something about your character, and that's awesome. I think we all actually ask ourselves those questions. We all do. Anybody in the civil service realm, be it police, fire, EMS, dispatch, we always at some point ask ourselves, is it worth it? Is it all this stress worth being away from our family? No matter what the stress is, right? Is it worth it? And I think you can actually tie that with any profession, but even more so on the civil service realm, especially firefighters being gone 24 hours at a time. We're missing a whole day. And like you said, holidays are not holidays anymore. They're days. They're just days. When you celebrate it depends on when you're off work, or if you got held mandatory overtime or not, or whatever. But it becomes a norm. We adapt. We adapt as a family. As a civil service family, as a fire family, as a fire department family, we adapt. And it's crazy how the family doesn't hold it against you for creating that adaptiveness, so to speak. And the fact that you brought that up actually made me really realize that, that a lot of that goes into figuring out whether or not this is the job for you, right? That doesn't get talked about a whole lot. You want a family, you better make sure the person you're with, your partner in your life, is going to be okay with all these little nuances that come with the job. Not celebrating an anniversary on the day, not celebrating a birthday on the day, not celebrating a holiday, whatever it may be, any special occasion, shoot, good luck. What's the cardinal rule in civil service? Do not make plans for anything, because something will come up and you are going to have to go into work. It's gonna happen. Don't make plans.
And I'm gonna tell you, you spoke about having a good partner, and she'll probably listen to this, so it is what it is. But I think I have one of the best, and my wife Emily puts up with a lot, and she rolls with it, and I can't be more thankful for what she does for the family while I'm at work. She has a full-time job herself. And so after working a full-time job, coming home and having to deal with getting kids down for bed, making dinner, what have you, during this time right now where you have to virtually teach while she's doing Zoom meetings for her own job. She is by far a stronger person than I am, I believe. And it's just, it's great to have such a great best friend and teammate that I have, because it makes it a lot easier, even though I am positive that I drive her absolutely crazy.
Oh, no, it's
Often.
absolutely, you're driving me crazy right now. So I can only imagine what she's going through. No, all joking aside, the whole point of being a partner to somebody, being a spouse to anybody, is communication and coming up with a common goal in both y'all's lives. That becomes exponentially harder when you're with somebody that's in the civil service, with somebody that's a firefighter, somebody that's gone all the time to work. God forbid there's a natural disaster or a snowstorm or a hurricane or whatever where you have to stay to help for even longer. Because now, not only your family has to deal with that natural disaster, but they had to deal with it without you, because you chose a profession where you have to be there to help. So you can't even help your own family go through all that. So it takes an extremely strong person to be with a civil service first responder spouse. It takes a strong person. And anybody that has stuck around with a first responder or a civil service worker long enough, they are probably the strongest of the strong when it comes to mental acuity, when it comes to emotional strength. They're probably top notch. They're one in a million.
For sure.
It's not easy being with a firefighter or a cop or an EMT or a dispatcher. It's not easy. It's not. And
looping in that communication that you were talking about, I think, and Josh, this firsthand, is one of the cardinal rules of running those bad calls that you spoke of is you leave it at the scene. Don't bring it back with you to the fire department. Don't bring it back with you to your house. You've got what you see. You got to try and leave it there. So, when you talk about this communication and I think that's something that I know that I've struggled with is I personally, there is not a lot of things that really get me worked up because of the stuff that I have seen in my life that, the towels being left in the dryer or being left in the washer is not a huge deal to me. Whereas for somebody else, it might be a huge deal. So when I don't get overly reactive to a situation, I know personally that times it has frustrated my wife, and she says, why are you not more upset about this? And I'll say, because this really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a big thing. It's not worth being upset over this because it's not affecting what's going to happen tomorrow, at least in my mind.
And that makes sense. But communication, again, going back to it, that is the cardinal rule for any relationship, for the relationship to work. it's even more important when it comes to your civil service spouse, your first responder spouse, because look, we're normal people. We're normal human beings. We just do abnormal jobs, right? It's what it is. It's an abnormal job. We see a bunch of shit. We see tragedy that some people will never see in their lifetime. And if they do, they might only see it once in their lifetime. We can go through a year and see multiple lifetimes worth of tragedy, but we have to be able to communicate how that's making us feel, how, like you said, when you come home, you're so used to dealing with the tragedy and the craziness at work. You're so used to that when you come home and something bothers your spouse a little bit more than what you would think would bother you, well, because why? Well, because you're used to seeing the shit that most people are never used to seeing, including your spouse. Your spouse is not used to seeing the same shit that you're seeing. So what upsets them could be nothing to you. And we forget to disconnect the two. We forget to disconnect it to. We have to. We should disconnect it to. We should remember. We should remember what we do for ourselves on the job. We should not be doing at home, because there is a whole nother level of what it is and what there isn't to be worried about. To your wife, wet towels left in the washer, that's a big deal, because now we have to wash them again. They got mildewed, whatever. That's a big deal. I say big deal, but that's a deal. That's something to them. Where to us, it's like, well, that's nothing compared to the 6-year-old I just have to do CPR on. Like, to us as first responders, it's nothing. But to somebody that doesn't see that on a day-to-day basis, can't compare something like that to what we go through on a day-to-day basis. So we have to remember, we have to communicate. We have to let them know where our head's at. We have to let them know how we feel. I agree with you. How it makes you feel should stay with what happened. You shouldn't carry that feeling and let it affect you throughout, everything else. However, at the same time, you have to allow yourself to actually feel it too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just ignore it, because when you ignore it too much, sooner or later it's going to rear its ugly head and the shit's going to hit the fan. Has that ever happened to you?
It has. It 100% has. And honestly, pride takes over, and you get frustrated at the frustration of your spouse, and then you have to take a step back and say, wait a minute, this isn't fair. This isn't fair at all. And you have to be the bigger person. You have to, like you said, you have to have almost two sides, if you will, different hats, that you're wearing, that once you break the threshold of your house, you're not that guy that sits around the fire department and burps and cusses and what have you. You need to be that dad, husband, family guy that your family needs from you.
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
And so I guess that means that we need to be not fake about it, but you need to be a chameleon almost.
Almost. But I don't, you know what? I'm going to challenge you on that. I don't think that you need to be a chameleon. I think what you need to do is you have to be open and honest on all aspects, not only with your spouse at home, but also with your brothers and sisters in the department. Guys come to work and they got in a fight with the wife, or they're going through a divorce, or something tragic happened in their family, and we're there for them. But they tell us, they're open about it. We can obviously see that they're distraught. And when we come home, however, we find a way to hide what bothered us on the job. Why do we do that when we're from the job coming home? We hide everything, but from home going to the job, we're okay with telling everybody what's going on. Why do we do that disconnection? It doesn't make sense to me. I think it should be totally even across the board. We need to let everybody know where we're at in our heads. That way everybody can understand where we're at emotionally. Because I think when you're able, I don't think you should wear two hats. We do because we think we're protecting or helping or whatever the case may be. But really, honestly, that whole saying, leave your home life at the door when you come to work, leave your work at the door when you come home. Nah, can't really do that. The human mind doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. We try to make it work that way. We try really hard. Why? Because we don't want anybody else to have to deal with the shit that's going on in our heads. We don't want to burden anybody else. We don't want anybody else to feel the pain and all of the other shit that goes on in our heads, right? Sure, obviously, we get it. However, if we're able to actually combine the two and let people know on both sides, whether it be our spouse or our brothers and sisters in the fire department, where we're at emotionally and where our headspace at, then we can become more evenly across the field. We can be more even across the field, meaning the guys know what to expect from me when I'm at work. My spouse knows what to expect from me when I'm home, because everything's out there. Everything is known. This is what's happening right now. This is where I'm at. No matter where you're at, whether it be at work or home, if you're able to let the people that matter the most in your life know where you're at in your headspace, then you don't have to wear those two different hats. Because wearing those two different hats that's tiring in itself.
Absolutely.
It's tiring. You don't want to show that you're hurt in front of your kids. You don't want to show that something screwed you up in the head in front of your wife. And then you want to go to work and you don't want to let the guys know that you're distraught because you had a fight with your wife. They want to know you're 100% there, ready to go. Nobody is ever 100% there, ready to go. We make ourselves 100% ready to go, and we know we will be 100% ready to go when the tone drops. That it's gonna happen. We will. But when we come into work and some shit's happened at home, we're not feeling 100%. It could be we didn't even want to come into work today because we felt like what's going on at home is a little bit more important right now. But we go in anyway. When we come home, then when we go home and we saw the shit on the job and the stuff that kind of affected us a little bit, we go home and we don't talk about it with our spouse and we don't talk about it with our kids. But they can still see it. They still see that you're down and out. You're a little bit more quiet. You're a little bit more irritable, whatever the case may be. They see it. They know something happened, but we try to hide it. Why do we try to hide it? Because we don't want to let anybody else know where we're at in our headspace, because we don't want that to be a factor on how they perceive we're going to do the job, whether it be being a spouse. I say job in quotations, whether it be being a spouse or being the firefighter you need to be for that day, right? Mm-hmm. So why not be completely open of where you're at in your headspace? Why not? Because at least then everybody will know where you're at and what to expect from you. And then if they know, okay, this is the headspace he's in, but he's still capable of doing the things he needs to do, then they don't have to worry. And you don't have to hide.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think you've really, I think you've opened up something that maybe everybody on the job needs to consider. And I think the first thing that comes to mind, while listening to you was, at least in my mind, is I'm a fixer. And I know that frustrates my wife. Personally, I know that frustrates my wife because she'll call me maybe wanting to vent one day.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't want me to fix the problem. She wants me to listen. However, there's something in my brain, and you ready for all of our Vanilla Ice fans out there, but there's something in my brain that if you got a problem, I'll solve it. And that's just the way that my brain works. And it could be something as tiny as I can't get this thing off the shelf because my daughter's not tall enough, to my boss, at work is doing this, and I don't know how to deal with it, or something like that. And my mind automatically goes to, okay, let's break it down. How can we adapt? How can we overcome? How can we take this problem we have, create a solution, and implement it so that the problem has now been solved?
Your job training takes over.
Yeah.
What you have learned to cope with the job takes over even on your home life.
I think you're 100% correct.
And that can be detrimental. Just heads up.
Oh, it is. And I'm not afraid to admit that I actually have a great therapist that I speak with every couple weeks. We sit and we chit chat, and I am not ashamed to say that therapy is a very necessary means for people to get stuff off of their mind, to cope with whatever they're going through. There is no stigma behind it for me. I think it is something that more people should consider and invest themselves into, because if you bottle that stuff up for too long, if you just put up with things that you don't like for too long, eventually the dam will break, and you will say something, you will do something that you never meant to do, never wanted to do, never wanted to say. And, to your point, that is very detrimental to your home life or even to your work life. If you snap on a coworker because he does something that maybe is very mild in general, but it's just been weighing on you for months, it could be something that hurts a work relationship that you have, somebody that you work with every day.
You hit on something real quick that reminded me of an issue that I had. So I'm in therapy as well. I'm in therapy. I go to couples counseling with my wife. I see a psychiatrist because I deal with ADHD, depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And I practice cognitive behavioral therapies, medication. I do it all. I talk about it because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But you hit on something about the job. We work this job so long, and we have learned these coping mechanisms where our training takes over. In this job, our training is, like you said, we react to the situation to mitigate it as quickly as possible so we can move to the next situation to fix it. It's so ingrained, that training is so ingrained, the reactiveness, that we forget that we cannot apply that to everything in our lives. But we do, because that's what works for us. That's our coping mechanism. That's how we get things fixed.
It's what we're good at.
It's what we're good at. But here's the thing. It doesn't work for everything. Sometimes you have to sit with the emotions. Sometimes you have to sit with the feelings. Sometimes you have to allow the problem to just be that, a problem. Sometimes you have to allow those things to happen, but it's so hard because our training and our personal coping mechanisms take over from the job. They take over into the family life, into our friend life, and then into our coworkers' relationship. Just being a fellow brother or sister, we react the same way we would to a tragedy on the job. It's like, hey, no, I'm going to say this because you said something. I'm reacting immediately. I'm reacting to fix the problem instead of processing what's going on. Yeah. We rely on our second-hand nature as civil service employees to react to fix. we react to fix based on training, sure, but it doesn't work when it comes to emotion. It doesn't work when it comes to relationships. Sometimes you have to sit and process. Well, we're not trained to do that. We're trained to, there's an issue, react, fix, next issue. That's it. But sometimes it has to be more than that. We have to allow ourselves to feel. We have to allow ourselves to process. We forget how to do that when it comes to home life, when it comes to dealing with our spouses and, having a conversation with them about feelings. Whenever there's a hurt feeling, whether that be anger, sadness, being upset, whatever, we want to react. We want to fix. Let's move past it. We don't like sitting with it. We don't like trying to process it. We don't want to understand why you're upset. No, let's fix the fact that you're upset and move on. When really you should
100%.
sit, try to process it, try to understand why they're upset, and then work on a solution. Instead, no, we're like, nah, let's react. You're upset. Why are you upset? All right, fix it. Done. You good? Okay, bye. Let's go on to the next thing. And that it can be detrimental. It can be self-sabotaging. We don't mean it to be. It's just our coping. That's how we deal with it. Because if we sat and thought about how we felt after every horrible, tragic call we went on, we'd never be able to go on another one.
No,
we never would.
No.
And
if you carried every call with you, like even if you just carried it with you like a little a patch that you wear on your uniform, if every call was another patch, you'd get weighed down so often and so quickly that I don't think you'd be able to do the job. And I've had partners of mine tell me that it's time to be done because they can't stop thinking about certain things on the job. Back when I used to work private ambulance, I had quite a few partners that told me I can't do this anymore. I have to get out because the call with the 5-year-old is really affecting me. And I'll talk to him and be like, man, we ran that call 3-4 weeks ago. I can't get it out of my head. It's time that I hang it up because I can't do this anymore. And it makes you think. It makes you think because, and we joke about it. I don't know if you do, but I know
we joke about it all the time.
A lot of us joke that we're dead inside. Oh yeah, I can run a code at a house and then transport them to the hospital, turn around, go back to the station and eat lunch like nothing ever happened. And it's because I'm dead inside. And maybe that's unhealthy. Maybe that's an easy way to cope with it. I'm not 100% sure, but if you don't do that, if you let things weigh you down, I don't think that you will last very long in this profession.
You're absolutely right. And you actually explained it a little bit differently, but I explain it similar to when we go on a call for a patient or a civilian of any sort, we have to, we dehumanize it.
100%. Absolutely.
It's no longer a person, it's a patient. And the way I explain it is when that tone drops, whoever we're going to help, but we're doing a job. It's a job, like throwing out the trash or cleaning the dishes or fixing, changing the oil in the car. We know what we're going to. We assess it when we get there, and then it is broken down into piece by piece by piece. This is what we have. This is step number 1. This is step number 2. This is step number 3. Get them in the ambulance. They're off to the hospital, back in the truck. What's for lunch? You know, we have to dehumanize it. It sounds bad, but if we went into every call emotional, like humanly emotional, where we saw this tragic thing, we see it when we arrive on scene and bystanders are around, they're screaming and yelling at us to do something. They're horrified, they're upset. You got family, you got friends, you got bystanders, you see what kind of human emotion actually gets tied to something like that. But when we arrive on scene, we cannot have the exactly. When we arrive on scene, that human emotion that's being displayed by everybody else, like what I quote unquote normal people would react, we cannot do. Because if we did, we wouldn't do a good job. You have to be professional. I'm not saying we don't care. I'm just saying we have to dehumanize it. While you're in distress, unfortunately, sometimes your distress is our job. It's a job. We break it down into steps to make sure we take the best care for you as we can. But once you're in that ambulance and you're at the hospital, I'm sorry, I got to forget you. I have to forget you. I have to. Because if I don't, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to question every move I made. I'm going to, did I do the right thing here? Did I do the right thing there? Are we sure she's going to, or he going to the right hospital? We question everything. We can't do that. We did our job. We did the best we can do for the person that was injured or hurt. Back in the truck. What's for lunch? What's for dinner?
And dehumanizing it, I try my hardest to be what I like to call the hand holder. If 88-year-old Estelle is having some difficulty in breathing and she looks scared, I'll touch her shoulder, I'll grab her hand. We're going to get you to the hospital. We're going to do everything we can. You're going to be okay.
I'd say we dehumanize it, but we also we are consciously aware that we are taking care of another human being. Like, absolutely. We know that. We don't do this job just to do the job. We do this job because we give a shit. We voluntarily make a sacrifice of ourselves to help other people because that's what we love to do. But sometimes, depending on the situation, you build a rapport with somebody and it does affect you a little bit. You do want to be that hand holder. You do want to be the person that you show you do care. But sometimes we have to pull away from that. It depends. I think it's very situational, actually. I think it's situational.
Absolutely.
Well, brother, I appreciate us diving into that. I really do. I haven't had this conversation yet, or at least this in-depth of a conversation when it comes to that whole aspect of everything with somebody. And so I appreciate you diving into that. I appreciate you, kind of giving me your outlook on it. I want to switch gears a little bit here and turn to something a little bit more lighthearted because we were pretty serious for the first almost hour. Your TikTok. We're going to hop in to your TikTok.
Here we go.
I'm 35. I hopped on the TikTok for the first time ever at 35 years old. What the hell am I thinking? I did it for the sole purpose of promoting the podcast because I had a former guest on that said, hey, this is a good platform. You should promote your podcast on TikTok. You should do videos, blah, 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 this and that. And I was like, okay, if it's another social media platform, sure. Well, it ended up turning into something ridiculously massive and huge. And the idea of What Makes Us Fire has actually grown from it. I couldn't be more thankful. Why the hell did you get on TikTok? You're 38 years old. What the hell are you thinking? This app's for teenagers dancing around and being dumb.
And I can't do any of that.
I'd love to see it though.
I've cut a rug at a wedding or two. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest with you. I think my first TikTok was in May of this year, and I jumped on and I did the whole no content, just scroll the FYP constantly, like a few videos here.
Is it weird that I half expected you to say your first video was the WAP dance?
Oh, God, no. Let's be serious. People will lie to you. Nobody wants to see that. My first TikTok was of my golden retriever puppy laying on our couch sleeping, and it was that video that said, oh, that's your sleepy puppy. Let me give you your boops. And then you touch their nose and you boop. And that was my first video. And to date, this could be funny. To date,
oh God.
It's not very many. But
keep scrolling.
Oh, I know.
Because you've posted a lot of stuff since then, I'm sure.
to date, it has 1,060 views.
That's it?
That's it. 1,000 views. And then from there, I started making like some little, funny ones. My 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth, 4, 5, my sixth TikTok got 104,000 views.
Holy shit. What was that?
And it was me sitting in the fire truck and saying that not all firefighters are sexy. Some of us are potatoes. Have a great day. And it got 104,000 views. And I said, maybe I'm funny. Maybe I'm funny. Maybe I'll do this. So then I proceeded to make some fun, what I thought were hilarious videos, to which got nothing more than about 2,500 views. Flash forward, had a couple of them that got, one got 57,000, one got 214,000.
Wow.
Talking about I'm done being part of a historical event. Have a good day. That one did pretty well. And we get to July 29th. And the only reason I know that is because I just pulled it up. I did something called Firehouse Cooking Cowboy Beans. It's a side dish that we make on our fire department often. You put a whole bunch of beans and green peppers and ground beef into a pot. You stir it up, serve it as a side dish. To date, it has 477,000 views.
Jesus Christ. All for beans?
Yeah. And so I was like, the people like cooking. Okay. So I did a couple of silly ones. My next one I did was kind of like a little, I don't even know what you call it, like a calzone or something like that. That one took off. And I kind of told myself, I think my lane is as a TikTok chef.
As a TikTok fire chef.
A fire chef.
Yep.
So I started making some cooking videos, and I'll be honest with you, most of them do okay. The biggest one that I have so far is one that I did on Thanksgiving of this year. And it's the brookies that I made. I don't know if you saw that. It's the super brookie. It's a layer of cookie dough. You put Reese cups and then cover it with brownie mix.
Yes. I saw that. Yeah. All I thought was diabetes when I saw that. Yep.
Well, that seems to be the top comment. I will tell you that. If TikTok allowed GIFs, then I feel like Wilfred Brimley would be all over my comment section with diabetes. So, to date, the Brookies is at 710,000 views.
Jesus.
So, I am very lucky. I'm very lucky to have a great group followers. I'm at 75K right now.
I'm going to rephrase. I'm going to stop you. You have a great group of family there. I don't like the fact that we call them followers.
Absolutely.
I don't like that. I don't like that term, followers. These people made a choice that what you put out there is worth their time. They chose you. They chose you, Brent.
And invested in me.
They invested their time in you, in that what you put out makes them feel good, gives them a chuckle, gives them some information they didn't have before. You are giving them something they deemed worthy enough to give you their time. And time, in my opinion, is the most precious thing in this world. The time you give,
get it back.
Can't give it back. You cannot take it back. The time that they give to you, they chose you. They chose that you were worthy enough of their time. And for that, they're not followers. They're family.
No, they're
period.
Family. I like that. I love
End
that.
of story.
So where I'm at with TikTok is I've been super blessed. I have some companies, and if you want me to leave them nameless, then I can do that.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
They're on my TikTok.
If they're on your TikTok, fucking let it go. It's already on social media.
I've had some companies reach out to me and work with me. Ginsu has been awesome. They've sent me some knives, and I use those knives all the time. Vitamix, they sent me out a blender, and I use that blender often. My side job that I have right now came from TikTok, and it's honestly one of the more fun little experiences that I'm doing. I'm selling coffee, which is something that is like the lifeblood of a firehouse.
Yes, sir.
I sell coffee for a company called Muertos Coffee. It's owned and operated by firefighters.
By Firefighter.
And
yeah, Muertos Coffee. Yeah.
The best part about it is 5% of everything that they sell, they give back to firefighters, fallen firefighters, people affected by fires. Like if they get burned, their house is burned down, stuff like that. This is a legit company who is out there making awesome coffee and whatever. I'm done with the sales pitch. That's not why I'm here. But I've been very lucky to be contacted, and people have reached out to me through this TikTok, including yourself, Josh. Mm-hmm. We would have never been able to form this, what I see as a growing friendship, without this platform. And I think that is awesome. And
it's huge. It's crazy. Look, like I said, we're at mid to late 30s guys. Okay. Let's just start with that. On what was formerly known as Musical.ly, where it was a bunch of teenagers dancing to random songs. And then all of a sudden it turned into this platform where people with similar interests started connecting. And then those connections got big. They became important. And that's like, so I started my TikTok in September. So you had 5 months on me with that. And like I said before, I started it for the sole purpose of promoting What Makes Us Fire podcast. That was the sole purpose. But the podcast grew into a mental health awareness platform, just the podcast. And I figured, well, if I want people to know what the podcast is about, it's about civil service and mental health. And it's about letting people know that civil service workers, first responders, are normal people. We have the same emotions as everybody else does. We're normal people doing abnormal jobs. And that was really the platform for the podcast. But then it turned into this mental health awareness and helping people. And then all of a sudden, I made a video And I think last I saw it had 113,000 views. It's the largest one I've had
Nice.
so far. I've only had
Nice.
it, like I said, I've only been doing this since September. And it blew up. All the video was telling people they are not alone. There's people in their corner that give a shit about them. You just have to make the choice to be strong enough to want to be the best you can be. But all you have to do is reach out if you need somebody to help guide you. That was the basis of the video. Little did I know that there was going to be this many people reaching out. Holy crap. It has turned into something amazing. It's no longer mine. It's not mine anymore. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's What Makes Us Fire Families. We are building a peer support group unlike anything ever seen. And it's not just for civil service anymore. It's for everybody. It just happens to be a lot of civil service personnel are involved, which is amazing because now we're helping people on another realm outside the job. I cannot tell you how many people have reached out. And
I believe
I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful because I don't want to get emotional here.
Too late.
Yeah. So it turned into this thing, right? And then I had an idea just about a week or two ago. I had an idea and I threw the idea to a couple of people who I call the What Makes Us Fire OGs. Basically the people that were following What Makes Us Fire when there was only like 1,000 followers, if that. And I told them, hey, look, I want to try creating a nonprofit. Okay, well, what's a nonprofit for? It's to help. The beginning part of it is to help civil service personnel, first responders that are going to inpatient mental health facilities to help them pay for it or to help them with a house payment or a car payment. And the reason why I did that is because one of the main reasons why I didn't go to an inpatient facility, money.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it. I could not afford to miss work. Even if I was getting paid on sick leave, that's still not enough. I have to work overtime. I wouldn't have been able to do that. So one of the main reasons why I didn't go was financial reasons. I don't want that to be a reason that a fellow brother or sister doesn't go get the help that they need. I don't want somebody else to have that experience. And so my idea was, let's create a nonprofit to where we help people, first responders first, in lightening, making it not as much of a burden, not allowing that to be a decision as to why they don't go. And so what the nonprofit's going to be for is to help those that are going to get inpatient mental health help, to help them out. That way they don't have to worry about missing work. They don't have to worry about the bills that aren't going to get paid because they can't work that overtime or the second job. They need to know that their mental health is priority number one. Because if you're not good with you, if you're not the best you, how the hell are you going to be the best you for anybody else? It's just like on the fire scene, right? We always get told when it comes to safety, your safety first, your brothers and sisters second, and then the general public. Why? Because if you're not good,
they.
Me, we, they. Because if you're not good, how the hell are you going to help your brothers and sisters? And if they're worried about you, who the fuck's going to be able to take care of the public? Right?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with our mental health. You need to be number one because you need to be good with you so you can be good for everybody else in your life. But you need to be good with you first. And I don't want finances to be a reason why somebody decides not to make that choice. And so I threw that idea out and they said, yeah, let's do it. And literally Literally, I only told them, 3 days ago? I don't know when this is going to air. This is probably going to air early next week. But I told them 3 days ago. We already have a lawyer that said they'll work up the nonprofit paperwork for free, basically. We've had the What Makes Us Fire family sharing. Every time I go live, they share the live, they share the message. We've had people start raising money. This is raising money not even for the charity yet, not even for the nonprofit yet. This is just to get the nonprofit off the ground. They're already trying to help. And I cannot be more humbled at the fact that my idea has become so many others' idea and passion. You're getting people wanting to, you want to help with Muertos Coffee, with the knife, with Ginsu knives and Vitamix, their blender. So you're helping people, you're helping small businesses by just being you, by doing something you love to do. How crazy is it that this platform allowed us to be who we are, just who we are on the inside, what we love to do. You love to cook. I like to talk about mental health awareness and help people and make them smile and be goofy. Half my lives I'm dancing and being goofy. I use the firefighter humor, the gutter mind humor, the dark humor on my lives, and people just they eat it up because they can relate, especially people that are in a dark place. They can relate to the dark humor, right?
Well, let's be serious here. I tend to come into your lives at the most random times when and
Oh
I
God.
and
Oh
and,
God. Oh God.
and I know
Oh
you
God.
can attest to it.
Oh God.
Anytime I see you live, I pop in at least just to say hi, because now, and this is something that drives me crazy when I say it out loud, but I've got 75,000 family members,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's becoming a point right now where I have a significant footprint, if you will.
Correct.
Nothing like Nick, because he's going to listen to this, and he grows very big, and he's over 500,000. We all wish we could be like Nick. Nick's the best. Anyway,
you can stop kissing his ass now.
Well, he kissed mine a little bit, repay the back. But for me, doing videos of cooking that, to be honest with you, I'm not a gourmet chef. I never went to a culinary institute. I go to Kroger, I go to Meijer, I go to Piggly Wiggly, whatever your local grocery store is. That's where I get my ingredients. And I try and make things that you could very easily look at and go, oh, look at, I can make that. It's got 5 ingredients. All he did was put it in a pan.
Shit, half the stuff Nick cooks comes out of a freaking can.
Right. And it's delicious and people like it.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm at is I've amassed this platform that it almost to me feels like I owe it to somebody to pay it forward. Because if you'd have told me last year at this time, hey, you're going to join an app and you're going to have 75,000 people that follow you to watch your cooking videos, I probably would have laughed so hard I'd have passed out. But here we are. And so that's why when small businesses in Michigan, like Tuckertown Forge sent me, I don't know if you saw the video where they sent me the hat racks and stuff that the guy makes out of metal in his garage himself.
Mm-hmm. I
will make videos about that. I will share their Etsy page because small businesses are the backbone of this awesome country we live in. And to be honest with you, they're the ones that are struggling right now through this pandemic, through everything going on, where people are scared to go shopping, people are scared to interact, they don't go to farmers markets and what have you. So if people have an Etsy page, I told them, if you want me to promote you, Send me your Etsy page. Let me know what you make.
You found a way to make a difference for people. You found a way to make a difference for people. End of story.
I'm trying.
No,
That's what I'm going to try.
You're succeeding. You're succeeding. You found a way to make a difference for people. That's huge. For what? For making cooking videos that you never thought would have exploded like it did? You have found a way to be who you are, do what you like to do, and help people in the process. That's massive, dude. Don't downplay it at all. That's huge. That's huge. You are helping small businesses that are struggling. You have found your part of the world that you are helping. I have mine. You have yours. We start combining these everybody that's doing something to help a certain aspect of this world that we're living in. You found that aspect that you are succeeding in helping in. I have found one that I am starting to succeed in helping in. That's massive. That is huge. You are making a difference in people's lives for being you. You're not trying hard. You're just doing something you love. And you found a way to make it more than you. You found a way to make it mean more than you. That's massive. That's huge. We need more people like that in this world. We need more people that do something they love to do and then find a way to do what they love to do, but help others in doing it. And no matter what you love to do, trust me, there is a niche. There are people that are struggling in whatever it is that you love to do, whether it be preaching the gospel, all the way down to cooking videos, even further down to painting rocks. Doesn't matter. If you get and you find a way and people start choosing to spend their time listening to you, use that. Use it. Make a difference in somebody else's life that is trying to do what you're doing and or is in the realm of what you're doing. And all you have to do is mention their name once. Just mention their name once. That's all you have to do. How hard is that? You're still being you. You're still doing what you love to do. All you had to do is mention their name. And you're mentioning a name of something that you enjoy, that you actually like, because it's part of something that you like to do. Then why not? You're making a difference. You're making a good difference. You're not causing any harm. You're actually causing way complete opposite of that. That's huge. That's massive, dude. Like, you're making a difference in people's lives, bro. Like, you're cooking with the simplest of ingredients, but you're using the knives. You're using the blender. You show the hat rack because you wear hats all the time. And just all these little simple things, you mentioned their name, you're helping them. You're helping them. That's massive. That's huge. You found your part of the world that you're helping. Don't downplay what you're doing, man. Seriously. It's big. I know it feels small. It feels like nothing. It feels like with me, it's like all I did was talk to you. All I did was just give you another way to look at what's going on. That's all I did. You have to make the choice to believe it or not. Like, you make the choice. And just like these other people, they make the choice to continue making these knives. They choose to continue their business in their garage. All you did was say, hey, here's something I like. This is who it came from. You guys should check them out.
Yeah.
You're making a difference. But they have to choose to continue to do what they're doing. You made a difference. That's huge, bro. That's huge.
I appreciate that.
In saying all that, I'm going to start winding this down. We're going to start closing it out. We went through a lot of stuff, and I appreciate everything we've talked about. We got really deep in the mental health aspect and how to look at it. We got a little bit of your background. We got a background on how you started TikTok, which is actually kind of funny. But towards the end of my show, I like to ask 3 basic questions. And if you've listened to any part of the podcast all the way through, you know what those questions are already. First one's a little bit twofold. Mr. The Fireman Freddy has his podcast, and it's about whatever, but he's interviewing the Fireman Freddy. What's the one question you would have asked yourself, and or piece of information you would have liked to share that I may have not brought up or asked?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Josh. I think we covered a lot. I think you did a great job of leading it forward. But maybe the one thing is, and we might have covered it, but is, do you enjoy what you're doing? Is what you're doing making you happy? Is any of it forced? And I would answer that with no, because if I have to force myself to do something, I tend to fall off from doing it, because I was told at a young age that you'll never work a day in your life if you love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a job and I go to work, but I don't work. I get to do something that I love doing. And
I don't even have anything to add to that, because I agree with you 110%. Like the job isn't a job, right? Because it's a part of who we are. It's just a part of who we are. That's it. Like we're just lucky enough somebody thought to pay us for it.
Right.
That's about it. That's about it. I mean, I can't even like ask another question on that. Like, yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And especially when you feel like it's just a part of you, then it's not a job. And there's nothing else to it. I can't add anything. So I appreciate you bringing that up. That's actually that. Yeah, it's the first time I'm actually speechless on somebody bringing something up like that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. My second question to you, very simple. Do you have anything you want to ask me? Anything that's on your mind? Anything you want to know? I'm an open book, and just like I tell everybody else, if I can't answer it, I'll politely tell you to fuck off and ask me another question. With all due respect, I said with all due respect. Okay.
Yeah, if you say with all due respect, you can say anything after.
Anyway, you can say anything.
I'll be honest with you. The one question I have for you, Josh, is when are we going to do this again?
I'll tell you what.
This was awesome.
I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's air this episode. It's gonna air
and see what kind of views it gets.
No. We're gonna do this no matter what. I don't care what kind of views or listens it gets. Look, I do this podcast because I wanted to share a message. No matter how many people it reaches, I don't care. I'm gonna keep doing it because I love to do it. I'm doing it because I love to do it. And if it helps somebody
Amen.
out, if it helps somebody out in the process, awesome, great, cool, whatever. But I'm going to keep doing it because I love what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. And so I'm going to keep doing it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care about the views or listens. But let's do this. Let's let this message. Jesus Christ. Let's let this episode air. And let's let this episode air and give it, I say, let's see, it's December. Let's do early next year. January, mid-January. Let's shoot for that. I'll keep in touch with you. Let's do mid-January. I love the conversations we were having. Not to mention, we can also do kind of like an update of where we're at and everything's going. I am shooting to have the nonprofit going by January 1st. That way taxes are a lot easier. And and hopefully by January 1st, I'll have the nonprofit going by then. I'm sure, will have grown exponentially by then as well. And we can catch up and where we're at going with all that stuff. And then we can talk a little bit more about the things we had to kind of cut short, because really, I think we were having a great conversation. I think there's a hell of a lot more information that we can share with each other. And in so doing, we can share with the people that listen, with the What Makes Us Fire family. And we'll do that. We'll shoot for early next year. You good with that?
Absolutely. And maybe as a follow-up is when you get that nonprofit going, is let's you and I find a way that we can get into lockstep with getting that pushed out. I may have an opportunity to get your nonprofit some funding. Let's just
Really?
say, yep. We'll talk about that maybe off air if
Okay.
you want, because
Yeah, no,
I don't want to
absolutely.
make I don't want to make big promises or anything like that. But
No, look,
I think
anybody that says that they're going to help with possibilities, I always understand if, you know, they fall through. That it's not a big deal, but the fact that you put the thought out there is huge, and that just shows where your heart's at, and that to me means more than anything else that comes afterwards. The fact that your heart's there, man, really means more to me than anything else. It's like I tell everybody that donates on when I do live or whatever. It's like, okay, I'm not asking for the donations. I'm going to make this, I'm going to find a way to make this work. I'm going to find a way to make this work, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is something that I believe in. This is what I'm going to start doing. This is my mission now. So I'm going to find a way to make this work. What I want is just to start building the family, making the connections, building our friendship. That to me is more important than any possibility for the nonprofit, because I'm gonna make that work. I'm gonna make that that's gonna work. I'm gonna make it happen. But I want the connections with the people that are within the What Makes Us Fire family, my friendships, you. I want that, to me, is more important than anything else. So I appreciate it, man. We will talk about it. Thank you so much. Seriously. What? 3?
those 2 questions. You got a third one?
Oh yeah, the third question. Really quick. So like I said with all my other guests before, What Makes Us Fire, you're on What Makes Us Fire podcast, and people that are listening could be listening to this podcast and go, oh, these are the people that make firefighters or civil service people, right? Sure. That's what they think when they're hearing What Makes Us Fire podcast. But for my guests, I think of it more of a question. What do you think it is that makes us people that choose to sacrifice of ourselves for others? What do you think it is that makes us civil service, that makes us first responders? And in our case, that makes us fire. I've had police officers on the show. I've had daughters, sons, spouses on the show, but they're all part of the family. They're all part of that civil service life. Every single one of them has made a sacrifice in some way or form in this life. What do you think it is that allows them to do that?
Selfless dedication to the betterment of others.
That was a real simple answer. That's it.
No, it doesn't have to be.
No. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why I say that, and that's not to discredit your answer whatsoever, because that's true. We wouldn't do this job if we didn't want to help somebody else, or if we didn't, think of making a sacrifice of ourselves. Like, obviously. But the reason why I ask is because the fire service, civil service in general, is so diverse in that you may be a Christian, but you're working with a Muslim or a Buddhist or an atheist. You may be white, but you're working with a Hispanic, a Black, and an Asian. You may be male, but you might be working with a female or a non-binary. You may be straight, but you're working with somebody that's gay or bi or asexual. It doesn't matter. We are so diverse in this field, but yet all of us having different backgrounds, having different outlooks on life, having different political views, all of these things that are so freaking different. And yet, here we are, ready to risk our lives for those people that don't fall in line with all of those other things. Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from, being able to understand that there is somebody that being able to set your personal needs aside to help somebody else, wanting to be the person when somebody is having the worst day of their life, that you are there trying to help them through what is the worst day of their life and ultimately could be the worst day of their family member's life. If you're running a code on somebody and that person doesn't survive, the call is not over. You could have a wife standing next to you of 58 years, or a son, or what have you, or a mom or dad who just maybe, saw a sick child of theirs who's really sick. You have more than your one patient, and recognizing that and being able to be empathetic and being able to be somebody who strives to help that person on the worst day of their life takes a special person. And to be honest with you, that's on the EMS side. It takes a crazy person to run into a burning building when it's on fire and say, hey, that house is on fire. That house is on fire, and I'm going to go put water on it. When 99% of people would stand on the front lawn and hit it hard from the yard. You still got somebody who says, give me my helmet, give me my mask, let me get my bunkers, and I'm going to make sure somebody isn't hiding under a bed.
Yep. Absolutely.
People will call you a hero, and I'll be 100% honest with you. I dislike that term because I'm doing it because I want to do it, but also because I'm a crazy son of a bitch sometimes running into a burning building. Let's call a spade a spade.
Let's call it what it is.
Running into a burning building.
Yeah, let's call it what it is. Yeah, you know what, Freddy? You are a crazy son of a bitch, my dude. You're a crazy son of a bitch, brother. And I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Seriously. I appreciate the fact that you came on the show. I appreciate your time. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties again. But all in all, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing what you have shared. Thank you for being open. Thank you for listening to a different point of view and being open to it. The fact that you're able to do that shows your character. The fact that you're helping small businesses definitely shows your character. Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to shoot for early January, and we're going to do this again, and we're going to continue our conversations, but we're going to get even more in depth and be able to share a little bit more of our experiences. You cool with that?
I appreciate you, Josh. Thanks for doing what you do, buddy.
Awesome, brother. All right. What Makes Us Fire Family? This was Brent, better known as the Fireman Freddy on TikTok. Are you on any other social media platforms right now, or is TikTok kind of the main one?
I'm on Instagram, and I have a Facebook that are both the Fireman Freddy. TikTok's the big one, so I do most of my posting there. I'm trying to get a presence on Instagram, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, go for it. It's completely up to you.
Awesome. All right, What Makes Us Fire Family? Again, the Fireman Freddy. Y'all have fun, stay safe, show some love and peace out in the world. We never know who might need it. You never know if you might be the one to make the difference. And trust me, Brent will agree with me. It feels badass to be that difference. He's on the phone right now, probably with his wife yelling at him, and it's hilarious. Yep, she's yelling. Yep. Anybody on YouTube watching this is going to be amazing. All right, What Makes Us Fire Family? Peace.
All right, everybody. That was the Fireman Freddy. I want to thank him again for coming on the show. He shared a lot of his point of views. He shared how he dealt with the stresses of the job and how he copes with his family. The fact that he was open enough to say therapy is not a stigma and that it's helping him. The fact that he changes people's lives in a small aspect of the world with what he does. By cooking. That's pretty awesome. The opportunities that he's giving people, the opportunities that he's given himself by just doing things that he loves to do, finding a niche in this world to make a difference. That's awesome. Find that niche where you can make a difference, not only in your life, but in the lives of others, to make this world a better place for all of us. I promise you it can happen. What Makes Us Fire family, I want to thank you all again for listening, for sharing, for subscribing, and for just being a part of the family. The connections we're making is fucking unbelievable. Please remember to follow us on all the social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Twitter with the tag @WhatMakesUsFire. Also, you can please subscribe to the YouTube channel with What Makes Us Fire podcast. Also, if you need to, you can always reach out to @WhatMakesUsFire@yahoo.com. Also, if anybody out there needs help, the National Suicide Hotline is completely free. It's completely anonymous. It's completely confidential. If you need the help, reach out. Talk it out. We are here. We see you. I see you. Y'all, we also have an online store. Go check it out. Links are going to now be posted in the description for the online store and for all the other social media platforms. So if you go to the description of the show, you'll see the link there. Copy it, paste it, click it, whatever you need to do. Go check it out. We have the online store. The What Makes Us Fire podcast is becoming a nonprofit to help those civil service, first responder, and military veterans that are looking to get inpatient treatment. Let's not make finances be a reason why they don't get the help they need. That's what this nonprofit is for, is to lighten that load so they can get the help and they can become good for them. So they can become the best them they can be for themselves. So they can be the best them for everyone else. If you feel like donating What Makes Us Fire family, please use the Cash App with the money sign, What Makes Us Fire, all one word, or Venmo with @WhatMakesUsFire. Y'all, much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please continue to share. Please continue to make those connections. Get out there, have fun, stay safe. Let's show some love and peace out in the world. You never know who might need it. You never know if you might be the one that makes a difference, and it feels fucking amazing to be that difference. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Much love, What Makes Us Fire family. Peace.